This is Rob Carbone, and you're listening to BD4.
Here's Barrett, some shake and bake, hits a three. That's eyes in the crowd with Barrett. 5 on the 24. Barrett previously in the air ball. The drive, the land, knocks it home. Gets it back, keeps it out Barrett. Barrett for three. RJ Barrett from downtown. Quick trigger three. Gets another triple. Looking for more. Smith to the buzzer. Now it's good. J.R. Smith from way downtown at the buzzer. No good open look. Puts it in. They're on their feet at Madison Square Garden. Elliott to Ewing. That'll make the Garden more.
Patrick Ewing faced a double team, but still was able to hit.
Finish. And the foul. Easton ducks under. Got it. With 8 tenths left.
A better night, right? A much better night than Saturday night. As I'm recording it, it's Sunday night. What is going on, fellas? I'm your host, Rob Carbone, and you are listening to BD4, sponsored by Anchor. BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. I hope everybody's doing well. Yeah, it's football Sunday. I think it might still be. No, it's probably almost over. But as you are listening to this, obviously it is a Monday morning. So welcome to the show. Welcome to the podcast. If you haven't yet and you're new here, be sure to subscribe to the podcast. You can find us on so many platforms, guys. Anywhere you get your podcast, you can get us iTunes, Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, Anchor, our sponsor, and many other platforms. You can watch the podcast if you're not already doing so. You can watch the podcast on YouTube. Just go to my website, nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com, and that'll have all that fun stuff there for you. So, guys, thank you for joining. Thank you for tuning in, and I appreciate each and every one of you for doing so. But yes, it is a better night, than Saturday night when the Knicks, made the move to bring back Elfrid Payton, the assist-hoarding, half-court playing, non-shooting, temporary veteran stopgap who is nothing special and is only going to counterproduct what we're trying to do here. He's back. That guy. I had a rant on it in episode 182, so go listen to that show, our last, most recent episode. Basically, just speaking sense, and I don't care if it's only for 1 year. I don't care if it's only $5 million. The deal fucking means nothing to me. It's that he's here and he's just going to continue to, if he's signed back with us and he started for the Knicks last year, there is no reason to believe he won't be starting again this year. So he's going to be in that starting lineup. Again, a point guard who can't shoot to save his life, who doesn't even bother to take three-point shots. He is going to be starting alongside interior-minded Mitchell Robinson, interior-minded RJ Barrett, and an interior-minded Julius Randle / Obi Toppin, whichever one is in that 4 spot to start the season. Elfrid Payton on top of that. So that's 4 of your starting 5 not being able to shoot. Why? At the point guard position, I don't know. I get it. We didn't want to overpay for all these big free agent point guards that are making these deals. I understand that. Van Vliet was never coming. CP3 trade happened. And, the Augustines of the world and Jeff Teague signed for big money. The Knicks didn't want to pay that. Okay, fine. But where do you go from there? I would go, before I go all the way to the bottom of the barrel, and again, we explained this last night, but just to reiterate, before I go all the way to the bottom of the barrel and go for Payton, okay, if we're going to strike out on free agency again for the bigger names and not make any mistakes by overpaying for them, I get that. But what you do next is you say, okay, let's go in-house and let's start the season with a Frank or a DSJ, or even, hey, let's take a listen to this. Fucking Jared Harper or Lamar Peters at the point guard spot. Why not? Why not let the kids running out there, evaluate them? I don't care if they suck. Peyton sucks too. We're going to lose no matter who we have out there. evaluate those guys, let them try and improve, see what you have in them, as opposed to starting a guy who's not going to be here long term, starting a guy who doesn't mesh well with the young unit, and that's what you're supposed to do as a rebuilding team. You're supposed to build a roster around your core with pieces that complement those core players. Toppin, Mitch, RJ need to be complemented by a guy at the point guard position not named Elfrid Payton who can't shoot, who can only play the half-court game, and who only looks to pass to one guy in Randall. It doesn't make fucking sense. Anyhow, tonight, it was a much better night. Nothing special. Again, some average moves made for the Knicks, but it was savvy. It was smart. It was decent. And we're going to get into all of that as soon as we get back from our first break. Be right back. Hey guys, so real quick before we get back to the show, just want to make sure that if you haven't yet subscribed to the podcast, do that right now. Go to nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com/connect. Once again, in order to subscribe to the podcast, and if you want, subscribe to the blog and follow me on social media, just go to my website, nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com/connect. Guys, thank you so much, and let's get back to BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis, brought to you by Anchor. Yeah, so episode 183 of the podcast of BD4, sponsored by Anchor. BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis than by tuning into this podcast right here, right now. Guys, I'm your host, Rob Carbone. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't yet subscribed to the podcast, and you can do so by going to my website, nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com. That is my website, and once there, you can go to the the connections page that has my social media, the blog, and where to subscribe to the pod. It's raining. Yeah, I can hear it raining. It's pouring down rain. Hopefully it's not fucking picking it up on the mic. It's really loud. But I'm using a different mic tonight. I gotta get a new mic because this one's not even plugged in. This one, but I'm using the fucking studio mic on the tablet, but this one right here is fucking making this buzzing noise, so I gotta get that straightened out. I gotta probably order a new mic, maybe ask Santa Claus for one, but yeah, so anyways, better night, a better night tonight for the Knicks. They first trade Ed Davis. Remember, Ed Davis was who we acquired a couple days ago, with those picks too. So the Knicks end up trading Ed Davis tonight to Minnesota. And what they get back is the two pieces that were in that D'Angelo Russell deal, which they made with Golden State last year. So the Knicks trade Davis to Minnesota, and they get those two guys, Omari Spellman and Jacob Evans, along with another 2023 second-round draft pick. So Davis, who's not played a single minute with the Knicks, comes here, gets us 3 second-round picks in 2023, which is, again, the high school draft, right, where you're allowed to start drafting high school players again. He comes here, doesn't do a thing, and he's going to be in the Knick Hall of Fame for getting us three draft picks. So that's good. As for the two throw-ins, I'm hearing both of them are going to be waived, or there's a good chance they're both waived before I even finish recording this podcast. But for the time being, Spellman is both of them are young 23-year-old kids, so both of them are very young, came in recent drafts. Spellman is a stretch 4 small ball center. He's 6'8", he shot 39% from 3 this past season on low volume. As for Evans, I think he's a 3-and-D wing, right? The percentages aren't really there yet. I think he was like 31% or something like that last season, but I think he's supposed to project as a, somewhat of a 3-and-D wing. But again, both young assets, nothing special, and again, they might be waived. So, but now we've got, again, the main part of that deal was to get another pick, and now we've got 3 second-round picks for the draft in a couple years, which will again include high school players. Not long after that, the Knicks made a move to sign Austin Rivers. He was originally he played for Houston this past season, right? And then he did not opt into the contract, so he walked in. He is now a Knick, and it was a smart deal. It was a 3-year deal for $10 million, but only one of those years is guaranteed. So it's a 2-year option. So he's here for guaranteed to be here for 1 year, and he's being paid fucking $3 million. So you really can't hate this deal. It's a low cap move. It's just for depth, and he can score a little bit. He's one of those guys who is a microwave when he gets hot, and shoots the pull up three at a decent clip, and again adds some depth to this backcourt. Better than what we had yesterday, right? So he's here. A couple more draft picks, a couple young assets for the meantime until they're waived. And we're also hearing that the Knicks are interested in trading for JaVale McGee of the fucking most recently playing for the Lakers. But the Lakers just signed Marc Gasol, so they're trying to get McGee out of there. And McGee was just traded to the Cavs, so the Knicks are trying to swing a deal for him with Cleveland, and in hopes to get, I'm hearing in hopes to get 1 or 2 picks in return. It just keep stockpiling on assets and draft picks, like we've been doing the last year or so, and that's fucking big. It's smart. It's small, but it works. So that's pretty much it as for tonight goes. Again, just to recap, trading Ed Davis, getting 2 young assets in return, along with a 3rd second-round pick in that 2023 draft, signing Austin Rivers for 3 years, $10 million, 1 year, $3 million guaranteed, and what's his name? Fucking JaVale McGee. Sorry, I'm forgetting shit here. God, how many teams has this guy been on? I was just trying to think. He's been fucking bouncing around the league. Not that he's a terrible player. He's an okay backup big, but Jesus. he's now on the Cavs for maybe a cup of tea before he gets dealt again. So the Knicks are looking for him, maybe to get a couple of picks in return, and that is it. So currently, as we speak, the Knicks have 16 players on their roster. You are allowed 20 for training camp. You are allowed 20 players, but obviously once the season starts, you have to cut that down to 15 plus 2 guys that are allowed on 2-way deals. So, if we're thinking about it right now and trying to play the way too early roster prediction, what I would do, now this is what I would do. Okay, this is if I was Tom Thibodeau, and not what I think they're going to do. What I would do, in terms of the starting 5, I would go at 1 at the point guard position. You go with a DSJ, Peters, Frank, Harper. Basically anybody but Elfrid Payton. Fucking, I would do that. I don't care. We're gonna lose regardless. So don't tell me the bullshit of how they're bad. At least they're young and they have a ceiling and they haven't peaked like Payton has. So I would do one of those guys. At the 2 spot, I think fucking Alec Burks maybe should go there. He shoots it well. He averaged 15 points per game last season coming off the bench. So start him at the 2. You need to space that floor. At the 3 spot, you've got R.J. Barrett. I think he's best fit at the 3 than he is at the 2. He's more of a forward. So put him in the wing spot at the 3. And I think, I would hope that Randall is out of here. So we're going to play that game for now. And Toppin, being older for his class, already 22 years old, he's already polished and probably NBA ready. I would start him at the 4, and then it's time to fucking grow some balls and let Mitchell Robinson eat and start him at the 5. It's about time he let the guy eat. He is being wasted on the bench these past couple years when he should be starting. Let him live and learn. If he's still getting in foul trouble, I don't care. The year's going to be a losing season anyway. Let the guy live and learn. If he starts and gives you 30, 35 minutes, I think he's a double-double with a couple of blocks a night. That's who he is. He's a defensive anchor, and on the offensive end, he's a rim runner. So let him play. Let him get minutes, and that's your starting five. Again, you got DSJ, Peters, Frank, or Harper. One of those four. You've got Alec Burks, RJ Barrett, Toppin, and Mitch. Now, sixth man, maybe you go Austin Rivers, right? But, as for the bench, let the rest of the roster battle it out. I do think Quickly and Rivers and the guys who can shoot that you acquired should be in the rotation somewhere. But that's what I think should happen. Now, what I think the Knicks will do, that's a whole different story, and we'll talk about that when we get back from break. Be right back. Hey guys, so real quick before we get back to the show, just want to make sure that if you haven't yet subscribed to the podcast, do that right now. Go to nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com/connect. Once again, in order to subscribe to the podcast, and if you want, subscribe to the blog and follow me on social media, just go to my website, nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com/connect. Guys, thank you so much, and let's get back to BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis, brought to you by Anchor. Okay, so what I think should happen is what we just said, right? But fucking what I think will happen is a completely different story, right? I don't know what Tibbs in the front office want to do, but I'm going to take a little estimate here and say that Payton will be your starting point guard. Again, there's no reason we're bringing him back to do something different this time around, come off the bench. He's probably going to start. Very unfortunate. Again, he just doesn't mesh with the younger kids, which is the most important thing here. Second, in the 2 spot, I'm not quite sure who Tibbs is going to go with at the 2. I really don't know. Maybe he goes with Burks, but I'm not sure. Maybe there are a couple options here. Maybe he goes Rivers. I don't know. I can't imagine Quickly gets to start at the 2 spot. He's strictly got the size for a 1, but I don't know. I'm not sure. But at the 3, I think you got RJ. I think he's got to do that. And I think he's, I have a bad feeling. I just have a really bad feeling that, with not hearing anything so far, that we're getting Julius Randle at the 4 to start the season. Maybe you play him for a few weeks, try and up his value. But it's not ideal. But I feel like the Knicks will, keep him around at least to start the season. And if that's the case, they're not paying him the money they are to sit on the bench. I have a bad fucking feeling he's going to be in that starting 4 spot. And then you have, I think Tibbs will go Mitch at the 5. I really do. I hope. So that's that. That's pretty much what we've got for tonight. Episode 183 of the podcast. Now, let's wrap this thing up and let's get to the NYK question of the day, and that'll be it. So let's get to it. All right, so in episode 182, last time out, I asked you guys, so Tom Thibodeau coached, obviously, the Chicago Bulls for 5 years, I think it was. Who was the other team he coached? So Tom Thibodeau was the head coach of the Chicago Bulls and is currently the head coach of the Knicks, but who was the one other team he was the head coach of? Pretty easy question tonight, but that was last time's question. But so the answer to that is the Minnesota Timberwolves. So he coached the Bulls, the Wolves, and now he's head coaching for the Knicks. So that was 182. Now for 183, our NYK question of the day. How many Kentucky guys do the Knicks have on their roster right now? So as I am speaking, as you are listening to this, again, it should be a Monday morning, November 23rd. So as of today, how many guys from Kentucky are on their current depth chart, their current NBA roster? Let me know the answer on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter once I post the podcast, or just DM me the answer. Guys, thank you so much. That's all we've got for tonight. Again, a short episode, not much gone on, but it was a better night than it was Saturday. Continuing to stock up on assets and draft picks, and getting some decent depth. Some guys who can shoot. Not the offseason I was hoping for. I really wanted at least one, not even big name, but I wanted at least one decent name, like a Joe Harris, like a Gallinari, a Bertans, or a Clarkson, somebody who could shoot the ball better than average. But unfortunately, the shooters that we did acquire are average shooters, which is still a big upgrade from where we were last year. But, maybe I was being a little too hopeful, and I wanted a little bit more. But it is what it is. Again, the big things are we're getting some assets and draft picks, continuing to do so. And we're not clogging our roster with a bunch of veterans who are going to get minutes over the young kids. So that's a positive. So that's all we've got for tonight, guys. Thank you for stopping by. And that is it. Episode 183 is in the books. Once again, one last time, I am your host, Rob Carbone of BD4, sponsored by Anchor. BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. Guys, thank you so much. That is all we've got for this one, and I'll see you next time. Ciao. This podcast is sponsored by Anchor.